So I'm going to give my 10 commandments for an ideal total knee replacement today. That's basically, I got a high volume center where we do around 4,000 joints per annum, and we got 15 fellowships every year. So a lot of the fellows are given the task of performing the surgeries. So basically, to supervise them, I myself stipulated these 10 commandments so that the outcomes are standardized. So that's all end of the day. These 10 commandments are not given anywhere in the textbook. These are for a high volume center to maintain the standards and the outcomes in a very consistent way. But these will be useful and ideal for any arthroplasty surgeon, whether they are doing 100 per month or 1,000 per month, it doesn't matter. But these commandments should be met with. What is a commandment? A rule that has to be adhered to strictly, and it is mandatory at all costs. These are not guidelines, let me tell you. This is a commandment. That means it cannot be breached or it cannot be negotiated. Those are the important things I wanted to tell. Or these commandments are the endpoints to be achieved before we embark on definitive fixation of implants. So we have a fixed protocol in our hospital where, let us say, 6 operating theaters are running simultaneously with 6 surgeons putting the implants. Every surgeon has to fulfill these 10 commandments. They have to be ratified by one of the senior surgeons, and then only they can put the final implants. Time and again, before implantation, even one commandment is not met with, the senior surgeon will scrub up and see that the 10 commandments are met with. So what is the commandment 1? The neutral alignment in coronal plane in full extension. So that means basically in coronal plane, it should be neither varus nor valgus. It is neutral. Slight varus is okay and slight valgus is okay, but not too much. But absolutely neutral is the sort of thing. So this is a schematic diagram. Slight valgus is acceptable in some of the patients, and varus is definitely a definite no-no. And this is the commandment 1 in the video, and this is the way you see that, and it is absolutely center of the hip, knee, and ankle axis. And now commandment 2, alignment in sagittal plane in full extension. So here there should neither be a residual flexion deformity nor recurvatum. Again, this is very, very important because both are having a lot of morbidity. At least flexion deformity, you can extend it. But if you got a recurvatum on the table, that is going to be a disaster. The one problem which I should never dream of having on the table is a recurvatum knee at the end of the procedure. So be careful, youngsters, never ever a recurvatum on the table. So again, this is a schematic diagram. If you see on the top, that is a neutral, and that is a recurvatum, and that is a residual flexion deformity. Again, a visual or video presentation of the commandments 2. You can see that by seeing both planes, there is neither a recurvatum nor a flexion deformity. Now, commandment number 3, stability in full extension in both the planes. That means varus valgus stress test with the knee in full extension, the knee should feel rock solid. You can see that again, a video representation. Is the knee is now, trials are done, and now I'm giving you varus and valgus stress in full extension. So that should be rock solid. So that is commandment number 3. Again, no medial or lateral joint opening, and that is the ideal situation. And in the bottom scenes, you can see that if the lateral side joint is opening, that means medial side is tight, and the medial joint is opening means lateral side is tight. Now, commandment 4, mid-flexion stability. That means you should test the stability at 30, 60, and 90 degrees of flexion by applying varus and valgus stress test, and at the same time doing anterior and posterior draw test, and this will show the rotational instability. This is one of the less understood and less performed and less respected commandment in the total 10 commandments. But I would urge all the youngsters to know about mid-flexion instability and to know how to perform this. This is Larry Dorff showed us how to test the mid-flexion instability. You hold the heel of the leg in the palm of your hand, keep the right hand free, you're not doing anything. And now you can see that I'm rotating the ankle and at the same time flexing the knee and giving a bit of varus valgus, at the same time rotation is stable. I'm not putting any pressure with the opposite side. If the knee pops up, that means the rotation is unstable, and that should be in 30, 60, and 90. All these 3 things are important. So this is how you perform the test for mid-flexion instability. Now, commandment 5, it's called femorotibial tracking. Whether both the femoral condyles are tracking uniformly on tibia during the movement of the knee in the sagittal plane. A very, very important point. You can see that here, the, is this the video there? Yeah, okay, video there, yeah. You can see that now I'm flexing the knee with the patella inverted. Of course, in patella closed also you can see, but these for demonstration sake. See, the femur is uniformly tracking on the tibia until 90. So there is no lift off on either side. So that is a very, very important part of this one. This is a commandment 5. You can see that both A and B are equal and equal medial and lateral joint tightness. Very, very important point in the 10 commandments. So if A is more than B, that means lateral tightness in flexion and extension and the vice versa. Commandment 6 and 7 are called polo tests, pull off and lift off tests. Both should be checked and both should be negative and both should be checked at 90 degrees flexion, and I'll show you. This is pull off positive. If you see on the top left diagram, when you do the 90 degrees, that means if you put the hands in your popliteal fossa and pull the tibia forwards, if the tibia comes forwards like this, that means the flexion space is very loose. And I will show you the video also here. So you can see that this is not positive. So pull off should be negative. That means the flexion space is optimum. Like that, lift off. Now, if you see the lift off on the left side, when you flex to 90 degrees, the whole tibial plate is lifting off. And this is called nutcracker or bone booking effect. So that means the flexion space is too tight. If you see here, I'll show you the video again. If you see the flexion, this tibial base plate should not lift. If it is lifting, that means that is called nutcracker effect. That means the flexion space is too tight, whether it's a tight PCL or a big osteophytes. Again, this is a definite no-no in the polo test. So it means 90 degrees, both polo tests should be negative. And commandment 8 is optimum femoral rollback. Again, this is a very important point, which is again less understood. Again, this was explained to by Larry Dorr. When you flex the knee to 90 degrees, the midpoint of the posterior contents of the femur, the midpoint of the tibia should be on the same line. If let us say this way it is called excessive femoral rollback. And if you see some retrieval symptoms, the posterior one-third of the tibial plastic is worn out. The reason is because of this. But how do you measure it on the table? If you can see the middle one-third of the upper part of the tibial plastic or poly, that means there is already femur rollback is more than optimum. Only you can see anterior one-third, not more than that. That is optimum rollback. And let me see in the video here whether I can appreciate that. You can see that that is the one. So if it is seeing more than anterior one-third or central one-third of the plastic, that means you got an excessive rollback, which is not right for you at all. So very, very important point. Now, commandment 8, again, you can see that when you flex that, when you put a scale, you should, the scale should touch the anterior part of the plastic, or you can see here only anterior one-third of the plastic is seen. So that is the optimum rollback. That is commandment 8. Now, you can see here, I'm telling another video to show it. If you put a scale at the anterior part of the tibia, it should touch the anterior part of the femur. There should not be any gap there. So that's what it is. That is commandment 8. And now let us go to the commandment 9. This is a very, very important commandment. Rectangular and equal extension and flexion gaps. The spacer should move from flexion gap to extension gap unaided and unprompted. Very important part. If you can achieve this, I'll show you the video. That means your flexion extension balancing is good. And I'll tell you, this knee will last for 20 years. Take it from me. Whether it is a Zimmer, Biomed, Depew, Smith & Nephew, it doesn't matter. Whether it's a cruciate retaining, cruciate sacrificing, doesn't matter. Whether you replace the patella or not, doesn't matter. This single commandment, if the spacer can move from flexion gap to extension gap unaided and unprompted, your knee is wonderful. Of course, this is a stability, everybody knows about that. And these are the 4x4 matrix for medial balancing in varus knees. I just want to show you this video. This is the one which you can see that. I'll show you on the table also. The gap should be, the spacer should move from flexion to extension unaided and unprompted. You should not push it with the hand or anything like that. Now let's see here what's happening. See, that is a flexion gap and the spacer beautifully sitting there, and see, extension is moving there. I'm not touching the spacer at all. So that is the way you should get the spacer. Let's see, even extension flexion, no prompting, no putting another hand and pushing it and pulling it. If you can achieve this, this one single step is very, very important or cardinal. If you get this one, your knee is going to last for 20 years. Commandment 10, patellar tracking without the thumb. Everybody knows about this. There is no rocket science about this. So again, a very important thing, whether you replace the patella or not, immaterial. I have not touched the patella in my last 10 to 15,000 knees. The more important is tracking. If you don't do the tracking properly, that patella will give you the problems. So the last commandment or 11th commandment is watertight closure of arthrotomy, because this is very important, and this will be just a stitch abscess can go into a complete full-blown infection if you don't have the watertight closure of the quadriceps. A watertight closure, both in extension and flexion, will prevent many stitch abscess from going into disastrous zones. So don't underestimate this, and don't give it to the junior most of your team members. So be there, supervise, so that they get a good tight closure of the quadriceps in the final commandment. So summary, never neglect any commandment. Each one has a significance. They let you know where you have gone wrong, and last chance to correct yourself before you do implantation with the cement. So my friends, if one follows all these 10 commandments, it is bound to good, and the replacement and the outcomes will be excellent. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.